Can't hold on to anything now. Dang, I've dropped 3 things since. I could have just stood up here and said, all right, let's go home. Several of you danced all over different parts of what I wanted to preach on tonight, and that's good. It's good for me. All right. Sometimes whenever I was young, I used to get upset when somebody'd stand up and testify about almost exactly what I was going to stand up there and preach about, and I'd be like, "What in the world are you doing, God? You just going to let him preach my message, and I'll just sit back here? What are you doing?" But now I look at it and I'm like, there's reasons for that. There's something in the realm. There's something going on in the spiritual realm that we can't see. That every testimony, every song, every word goes hand in hand, and when they go hand in hand, it's to help loose somebody. See, sometimes things are let go immediately. God will act immediately. Sometimes people will take their walls down immediately, but sometimes, just like Jericho, you have to march. You have to do it multiple times. So if it comes from multiple different mouths, maybe Ramona or Tim or Jan will say it a different way than what I would, but it makes sense. It's the same thing, but it's a different mouth that says it. That's why it's so important to not sit on testimonies. It's why it's so important to not hold back praise or prayer requests, because when it all comes together, it's a beautiful thing. We, Cheryl, your testimony earlier saying that some people, like my mom, is one that doesn't get excited for Christmas anymore. She doesn't enjoy it as much as she used to. And part of that is because of the losses that she has endured, and the people that she would love to celebrate with are no longer able to celebrate it here on this earth. And see, so I see the sentiment that thank goodness the holidays are over, and thank goodness that we can just return back to the normal, or we can go back to our daily lives. I understand that. I truly do. And I tell you, December holds a whole different perspective in our world. Mine is, and particularly, I guess. But to go back to the beginning, see, we're going to talk about. We may start slow but finish strong. I know it's been preached on here before, but I want to start here, and then we're going to go into another story. Then I'll get into the word. So I'll try to go as quick as I can. But back in, I can't even remember the year now. It would have been 2015. So 2015, well, back in 2010, Abby and I started dating, September 3rd, 2010, way back when. All right, just a punk freshman and a punk sophomore trying to figure out life, I guess. And as we went through high school and everything, we got to a point where I was certain that I wanted to be with her forever. She wanted to be with me for whatever reason, I don't know, still to this day. But we had decided that we were going to get married in 2016. And this is how much of a male I am. Women will laugh, male will understand. Okay. September 3rd, 2016 fell on a Saturday. So most weddings take place is on weekends. So it works out perfect. We started dating September 3rd, 2010. We get married September 3rd, 2016. I couldn't mess it up, Greg. It was the same date. I didn't have to worry about nothing. It made my life easy. But before that, so it was November, Black Friday of November, whatever that was, 2015. We went Black Friday shopping. I knew what I was going to buy that night. All right. But we went anyway. She went, we went to J.C. Penney's. We went to different jewelry stores. We finally found a ring that she liked at J.C. Penney's. We bought it. I put it in the glove box of my car, and I was going to wait for the perfect time. As time went on, we flipped the calendar over to December. All right. December's supposed to be a joyous time. Right out of the gates in December 2015, my grandmother, she went to a doctor appointment, and they said, make sure you get everybody together for Christmas because this might be the last one. That news hit hard for a lot of us. It hit really hard for Grandma. And she went home and she just kept saying, we didn't get a very good report, did we? No, we didn't, Grandma. We just go through it. And also, when I was that young, I was in college. See, college wasn't always something I was good at. All right. I was a good high school student, good middle school student. College was a lot different world. And I went and I took a final that morning in a class, or it was December 9th. I went and took a final in Lubeck, at Lubeck Elementary, to finish up one of my education classes. And as I went there, I knew I had to have an A on the final to get an A in the class. And I went and I got like a 93 on that final. So excited. I had stayed at Tim and Melissa Bell's house December 8th, going into December 9th. And I had stayed at their house, and I had went and I took that final. And whenever I left, I was on my way home just so excited. I was going to go home and tell Grandma I got an A in my college class. Everything was great. Everything was great, and then it was good. And I got home, and Grandma Patty was sitting on the love seat as you walk in the door. Mom was sitting on the couch and onto the right as you walk in the door. And I said, "Where's Grandma?" And they're like, "She's still in bed. She's sleeping in this morning." I said, "Okay." And I said, "I'm gonna go wake her up." I was too excited to let her sleep any longer. I rounded the corner to go into her bedroom, and I started talking to her. And I got over there, and I was talking to her, and she was doing her best to answer me, but she just didn't have much strength to be able to talk. She couldn't wake up. She couldn't do. I didn't get the reaction that I thought I was going to get. You see, the process had already started of her going into her new beginning, as Ramona said earlier. The process had already started. I was devastated, broken. All the different emotions had hit me. Dale and Abby were in, I believe, Ravenswood or Ripley. Can't remember one of them, getting tires for Dale's car. And I had called her, and she said, "We'll be right there." And it wasn't, I don't know how long it took them to get there, but Dale flew over there to get her to where I was at. See, Abby and I's beginning started in a long time ago in September of 2010. One of the people that we would have loved to see that next step in our journey never got to see that next step. So we went on to get married the next year, and it was a great time. So those holiday moments, I get, Cheryl. Anytime that calendar gets to December 9th, December 10th, December 14th, those are 3 days in the month of December that I will pay attention to more than my own birthday, which is December 15th. So all this took place. But see, I get to look back on that journey with Grandma from the time I was young. See, when I was young, Wayne had to work at Alfab, and he'd have to go through at 4:30 in the morning. That would mean I'd have to get up and come over at 4:30 to get on the bus there. That didn't make much sense. So I would stay with Grandma. So she kind of had raised me from the time I was, not raised me, but she was a very influential part of me from when I was little, and I would just stay there and she'd take care of me. But by the time I got to be a high school senior and in college, it had flipped, and I was taking care of Grandma. See, her journey had went from being the caregiver to being the one receiving. Mine, it was flipped. It's something I look back on, and it is such a special bond that I formed with that lady because of that. It's a journey that I wouldn't change in anything about it. Would I extend it if I could? Sure. But I couldn't change anything about it. And I'm grateful for that journey. I think about my Christian walk. You guys said that this church has been open for around 4 years, a little over 4 years now, right? If you look at it, Emberley is going to turn 5 here in June. As we get there, my Christian walk, all right, started when I was young as a kid. But the fire that I have inside of me now really started going after we came to a couple services here. After a testimony where I sat back there about where Seth was. There was multiple things that I can look back. My spiritual growth as a preacher, as a man of God, I can kind of follow the timeline of Emberley's birth and her aging, and it kind of goes hand in hand. You see, Abby, I can tell you, is a different person now than she was just 16 months ago, 17 months ago now. All right? She is a much stronger woman now than she was then, and I thought she was strong then. But once she decided to do the home birth and all these things, all these avenues have opened up to her because of obedience, and strength came from it. You say, why are you saying all of this? I tell you this because it's not how you start your journey. It's not how you start. Because no matter where you start, if you start at the bottom or if you start at the top, there's more steps coming. So here we are. In my walk, it started. I want to take a second here. I was hoping Tyler or Gary will be here, but I assume they will watch this. whenever Dean Ash, everybody knows the story about Dean going through all the things that the enemy brought against him when he was trying to buy this place, whenever he was trying to open it up, everything that came against him. Just an absolute incredible miracle that he continued to be obedient to God and fight through so that we can be here. And as he did those things, after he had his open heart surgery there 2 years ago, a year ago, whenever it was, we were in town and we stopped by to see Dean. And he was sitting there, and I told Abby, I said, don't let me get long-winded, because I didn't want him to have to talk a bunch, because Ron, you went through it. It's hard to talk afterwards. You wear out easy. And I said, I don't want to stay very long. Like, put me on the clock so we can get in and get out. I don't want to wear him out. But we went in there, and I talked to him, and he said, Jeremy, he said, my first message I ever preached, he said, I was up at Pine Twist. He said, I went up there, and he said, everybody, all the mentors, everybody told me, he says, you just get up there, and God will take over. He said, I went up there, and I started preaching. He said, the whole time I was thinking, all right, God, where are you? Take over. And he said, I didn't get off to a very good start in this thing. He said, but I think I'm going to finish pretty well.
Yeah, that's right.
That is every one of our calls in this life. It doesn't matter what the year 2025 looked like. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter the former you. None of that matters. See, everybody has to start somewhere. And if you take off in a race, I'll tell you this. Whenever I ran the Parkersburg Half Marathon, I was not ready to do that. But my college cross country coach says you're going to do it. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Well, see, I was running with people that had already ran college cross country, and they were a lot faster than me. I was the freshman that wasn't very fast to begin with. One of these gentlemen was a two-time state champion from Richwood, West Virginia. We take off, and I look at the mile marker as we pass the first one, and it says 5 minutes. I ain't ever ran a 5-minute mile in my life. And I thought, oh no. We get to the second one, and lo and behold, it says something like 9 something. I thought, we are really flying. And one side of me is like, I'm going to get done in like record pace. This is good. But then I got to that bridge as you go up towards Ravenswood, right there by Public Debt, and it's right past the 2-mile mark, and I thought, this ain't good. I started out way too fast. I ran out of energy. And the rest of that race was a struggle. See, I got to the end of that race, and I will never forget it. I won't say her name, but there was a lady sitting to the side right over there on Market Street as you get to the finish line, and she says, kick it in. I know you're faster than that. I thought, lady, I'm about to, if I had any strength, I'm going to come over there. But I had no strength left. I had given everything I had. I was spent. The only reason I finished that race is because I thought I was going to get an ice massage on my legs when I was done. Let me just go and tell you, there was no ice massage. But I finished that race. See, I had nothing left. I crossed that finish line. I fell into a guy's arms, and he threw me in this wheelchair, and they took me over here to this makeshift hospital thing, and I laid there. It was like a beach chair, I guess is what you'd call it. He threw me in this chair, and I just laid there and watched my legs look like mountains for 40 minutes afterwards, cramping. See, I wasn't prepared for the race that I ran. Yeah. But I went because I was told to. There's going to be times in our spiritual race that we have to go. This thing, we set our eyes on things not of this earth, but of heavenly things. We set it on higher marks. And if we get to those points and we keep our eyes there, our body will get through those hard times. But if we keep an earthly mind, we will not get anywhere near what God would want us to be. We're going to start in Matthew 4. See, the enemy is a coward. Above all, he is a coward. I've read this multiple times. I've studied. I think I've even preached this a couple of times. However, this small detail had caught me off guard. See, the devil didn't visit Jesus on day 1 of his fasting in the wilderness. He waits until day 40. Okay, so as we start here in verse 2, and when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. If you throw food in front of me when I am fasting and tell me to eat, I don't have the greatest willpower. I will probably remember that, and when I'm done fasting, we'll have a conversation. Okay? Just being honest. But see, the enemy knew that he couldn't do anything with the Son of God whenever he was strong. So he thought maybe just a slight weakness will get him. Verse 4, but he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Jesus said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God.
Yeah.
Again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then saith Jesus unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. Listen, there's going to be times when you are absolutely at your end. You may not be at the end of a fast coming off of it. You may be just living your daily life, and the same things, the obstacles just pile up, and you just don't know where to go, and you get one thing taken care of. You might replace your hot water heater today, and tomorrow your freezer goes out, and you can't figure out, why are all these bad things happening to me? I cannot continue this way. It may be a health thing. It may be a financial thing. It may be a spiritual thing. Whatever you're going through, understand that the enemy is going to try to attack you when you're your weakest. So whenever you are down, whenever you're concerned about one thing, he's going to continue to try to slip through those cracks. If you keep your foundation shored up, and if we be Christ-like minded, we will be okay. But you see, we look at it and it says, oh, woe is me. There went the dryer.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we'll get down before it ever happens. We're already cursing things to go bad in our house. Oh, great, the air went out. The heat went out. That's 32 degrees outside. Might as well lose the oven too. Well, you might as well. It's another heat source. Go ahead and tell it to go away too. People will say things, and they will look at it and say, why is only bad things happen to me? Get a grip. Bad things happen to everybody. The enemy doesn't look at anybody, but you know what? Sometimes the enemy don't have to mess with you. The enemy don't have to say anything, Sharon. We do it to ourselves. We haven't read the book. We haven't picked up our Bible. We haven't spent any time in prayer. And we say, why does God let these things happen? See, God doesn't take all the bad things away from us. The trials and tribulations that we go through is to strengthen us, to help our courage, to help our faith. If we don't go through the trials and tribulations, what are we doing? So if the enemy hasn't really hurt you lately, or you haven't seen God move, and you haven't seen any disaster happen, you're probably at an idle spot. And if you're at an idle spot, that's not a good place to be, because you're not moving towards God, and the enemy says, I don't even have to mess with you because you've already defeated yourself. See, the defeatist mindset is not what a Christian should have at all. We sang songs about it just a little bit ago. All right? We serve a God that is above all things, not just some things, but above all things. See, we look at it, and we go to the woe is me. I listened to a video this week. If you were trying to learn how to be a pianist, what are you probably going to try to think like? A pianist. If I want to be a professional baseball player, I want to be a baseball player, I probably ought to think like a baseball player, right, John? If we want to be the best Christians we want to be, we probably ought to be having a mindset of Christ-like. We probably ought to think of things through Christ's lens. No, you're not the Son of God, neither am I. Okay? But we serve the Son of God. We have given a road book. This whole Bible, if everything was pinned down, the world could contain everything that happened that we should know about. But see, this Bible was pinned down and has been the only thing that has been unchanged for so long. Why do you think that is? That's what he wants us to read. That's what he wants us to know. This is the roadmap that he has given us. Greg, when his fingers work, plays a song that using his Bible as a roadmap. There is not a more true statement to that. If we know what this says, if we can then know what it says and take it and apply it to our lives, our journey will not be, it will not lead us astray. See, sometimes we're like, I don't understand why we have to go through these things. I think Brother Ben talked about this the other day. He has to go, like, the college of God never ends. It's always test after test after test. It never runs out. But see, it's not supposed to until we call heaven home. This isn't always supposed to be a joyous time. There's going to be times that we go through the hard things. Listen, Jesus was opposed every step that he made down here. People followed him. People learned from him. But understand, the resistance was great. Look around. If we were as serious about God as we should be, how many people would distance themselves from you? How many people would resist you? How many people would tell you just to quiet down? This isn't the time nor the place. That's great. Save it for Sunday. That's what people would tell us today. See, Jesus would just move from town to town. He wouldn't really get connected to very many. See, his inner circle stayed kind of small, and he would allow people to come, and he would go to different groups. He wouldn't go with the religious. He wouldn't go with the high rollers. But oftentimes he found himself with the lower. He went and found himself with the people that needed a savior. See, the rich and the well-educated, whatever you want to call them, the rulers thought they had it figured out. They wouldn't have listened to him. But he continued to face resistance time and time again. He stayed about his Father's business. See, that was all pinned down for us to see. We all know that this thing is going to wrap up at some point. We all know that God is going to come back at some point. We are going to call heaven home. At least that is my prayer for all of us. Nobody knows your salvation with God except for you. All right. I'm not in the judging business because there's nothing in it for me. Let him do that. All right. So we all know our own salvation. If you're right, you'll call heaven home. And when you get there, okay, you are going to be rewarded for everything that you went through down here. See, this shouldn't be, let me be careful how I say it. This is work. This is hard. There's going to be times, just as Jamie said earlier, prayer requests are going to have to go and either be altered and pray for not what they ask, because we can't pray for sin. Can't do it. But what we can do is we can pray for the people that are going through hard times. And what we can do is lift them up and say, God, remove their eyes. See, whenever the new church started after Jesus, let me read this before I get there. John chapter 16. This kind of appalls me, Jay. You know, we get to read the Bible, and sometimes we have to read some things 2 or 3 times. But this passage right here in John chapter 16, starting at verse 29, his disciples said unto him, Lo, now speaketh thou plainly, and speaketh no proverb? Now are we sure that knowest all things, and needest not that any man should ask thee. By this we believe that thou camest forth from God. Where one day prior to him hanging on the cross, and they said, now we can believe. I believe you now. They've watched him do everything. Remember, they were there step for step, and they said, well, now we can believe you. What do you mean? Now you have seen the healings, you have seen the miracles, you have seen all these things, and you're going to say, I got you now. You weren't lying. But no, you weren't. No, he wasn't lying. And his response kind of catches me off. Jesus answered them, do ye now believe? Well, what have you been doing for the whole time my ministry's been going on? What have you been doing? He said, do ye now believe? Behold, the hour cometh, yea, is now come, that ye shall be scattered, every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation. But be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. See, our journeys are going to lead us to those hard parts. Our journeys are going to lead us to those hard times. It's those that throw in the towel and say, it's too tough for me. Those are the ones that have let go, and they haven't held on to the vine. They haven't gotten the word from God. They have said it's too much. If you look at it through a worldly view, it is too much. It doesn't make sense. David killing Goliath doesn't make sense. We look at it. How in the world does that make sense? A little shepherd boy coming up telling military people to get out of the way. I can't wear your armor. It's too heavy for me. I can't even move. What do you want me to do? And he goes out there and takes care of a giant with a stone. That doesn't make sense. I couldn't knock somebody out with a slingshot and a stone, let alone take out a giant. But because of the faith of David, because he looked at it not through a worldly eye, he looked at it and said, God told me to do it. I'm going to go and do it. It was a faith thing. It was a courage thing. It wasn't just the act that was done. It was the thing. It was everything leading up to it. It was him going and being obedient. It was him going and taking not just the one stone, but enough to take care of his brothers. He knew that this was a divine appointment by God. He said, I'm going to do it. Today, people would look at it and say, I hope you ask Brother Jim down the pew because I ain't moving. Yeah. Can you circle that back, God, and go pick on Brother Seth? That's too big for me. See, we want the easy button in 2025, 2026 now. We want the easy button. We don't want to work for it. Noah continued to build an ark when people told him he was crazy. What are you? You're out of your mind. Noah said, no, I'm listening to my God in heaven. I am not out of my mind. This is what truly matters. Why are we so quick to take people's opinions of us that are on Facebook or through word of mouth, and we take it and it's like it cuts us deep? Listen, those people's opinions don't matter. If you are doing what God would have you do, if you are looking through a Christ-like mindset, you don't care what people think. There's one person you've got to impress every day, and he's already impressed with you. He already told you you were the apple of his eye, the sparkle in his eye. You are it. He made you, and he is proud of you. But we got to do what his word says. See, the disciples looked at it and they said, now we believe. You flip over a couple pages and you get into Acts. Think about the first church after Jesus gave up the ghost. You think about how they went through. And as you read chapter by chapter, it grew by hundreds. It grew by thousands. But they continued to not care. They continued to not listen to the people's opinions that didn't matter. They just stayed about Christ's business. They stayed locked into what their job was. And it just continued to grow and grow and grow. That's what our life should look like. Yeah. That's what our journey should look like. Whenever we're tempted, you tell Satan to flee. You stay about God's business. And as you go through God's business, you're going to come into those trials and those tribulations. They don't define you. They only strengthen you. They only make you a stronger Christian. They only make you a stronger Christ follower and make your light that much brighter. And as your light gets brighter, now you go into different territory. And as you go into new territory, people should say, you are different. I can tell you by the way people testify, by the way people act, and by the way people walk oftentimes, you can tell there's something different about them. If you've been in the Word, if you've been in church, or if you've been plugged into God, if you've had a straight connection with Him, you've got a little bit of extra pep in your step no matter what happens. You're the one that when everything goes wrong, you say, you know what? God will provide. You don't say what's going to go wrong next. You say God will provide. See, it's not if hard times come, but it's when. And when hard times come, how do you handle it? So it's not an if, but it's a when and how. We know that opposition is going to come. We know that hard things are going to come. But when you get to those hard things, are you going to cower? Or are you going to say, God, I don't know how, but we've got some work to do? Technology has made it where the worldly view of work has changed. I never seen it because it was kind of before my time, but you can talk to people over here in Elizabeth and say Work County's football program took a major hit when the brown baler was invented. When everybody wasn't going to throwing square bales and getting stronger in the summer, and everybody started using a round baler, some strength left the Work County football program. People will tell you that. I've had people tell me that I don't know how many times. You know, Christians will say, "Oh, this technology helps me with my walk with Christ." It can't. But understand that with technology comes distractions. Not much beats grabbing a paper copy Bible, going to a place where there's no service, no Wi-Fi, and being alone with God. See, people will say, yeah, I read my Bible today. I read that verse that pops up on my lock screen every morning. That's great. I'm glad that you have that. That is a wonderful thing. But sometimes you got to get intimate with God. See, if I only texted Abby of a morning and said, hey, how are you? And didn't talk to her the rest of the day, our marriage is going to fall on hard times and not survive. See, and let me take it a step farther. All right. Our relationship with God is more important than your relationship with your spouse. So if you wouldn't do that to your spouse, why are you going to do it to God?
Amen. Amen.
I'm not preaching at you. I'm with you. There's days that I don't do it enough. There's times that I get too busy. That's a me decision that I have to answer for whenever I do. But understand that when you spend more time with God, you have less time to listen to the enemy chirping in your ear. You leave void, that enemy will find his way in there. But you stay locked in and continue to be about his business, and you're going to make it. You're going to be just fine. Not that there won't be hard times, but when you get to the hard times, the how is easier to find. You see, if you flip into Psalms, there's 2 different Psalms that you can grab a hold of anytime you get to the win. See, in Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yet though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Listen, surely goodness and mercy will follow you. Your cup will run over, but just be about his business. Keep your mind fixated on him. Don't let the world tell you that you're something that you're not, because if you are a child of God, be proud, proclaim it, and stand on it. That is what is going to get us through those hard times. You believe hard times, you went through hard times. I believe harder times are coming. See, some things, diamonds don't take their shape without being pressured into a. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a architect. Whatever they are. But some things have to go through fire. They have to go through pressure, and it becomes a beautiful thing. Listen, God doesn't want you to be the same tomorrow as you are today. He wants to make you stronger tomorrow than you were today. The trials that you go through today will make you a stronger version tomorrow. Listen, there is going to be joys. There is going to be praises to be had along the way. But don't expect just sunshine all the time. Expect to have to get dirty. Expect to go into the harder parts. Expect those times. And when you get dry, see, in Isaiah, it tells us that he will provide streams and wastelands. He will provide things that we need in the time that we need it. See, they were struggling in Isaiah 43, I believe. They were struggling with taking that next step. There was a new thing about to happen. The enemies were taken over by the water. The chariots were left behind. See, there was a new thing coming. You don't have to keep grabbing a hold of the old things. You don't have to keep grabbing a hold of the baggage. You don't have to let the things that has drawn you down time and time again continue to draw you down. See, there is a God in heaven that says, let it go and grab a hold of me. Let me take that place. Give me that attention. Don't just say you're going to do it and then continue to do the old way, but grab a hold of me and let me change what is going on. See, I use it all the time. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. As Christians, we do that. We want change. We pray for change. And we feel like we're almost on the cusp of a change, and we're about to let a big part of it just fall into the ocean, and we'll reach down and grab it before it goes out of sight. Yep. Different isn't bad. Routine isn't good. Routine can be good, there are things that we have to allow, and we have to continue to go back and make sure it aligns with the Bible. But there's times that we get so set in our ways that we don't see what God is trying to lead us to. We talked about it in Sunday school this morning. After Paul and Barnabas separated and Paul and Timothy got together, back then circumcision was a huge thing. And Timothy was not circumcised when him and Paul got together. And he had to go and do that. Paul felt it was very important to do that because the places that they were going and the places that they were going to teach would receive it more so if he would just do this thing. See, it wasn't a requirement by God, but it was a thing that would help the message get out farther. And by doing that, by being obedient in that, we know that Timothy and Paul went on to do great things. See, sometimes we can't go and talk. I can't go and talk to a teenager like I would somebody in a nursing home. It's not going to work. Sometimes we have to take shape of the situation we're walking into. No, I'm not telling you to go do all the things that they're doing. What I'm telling you is take a Christ-like mindset, line it up with how God would have you talk to these people, and then take that and do it different. Sometimes soft, loving will get there. Sometimes it's going to be the hellfire and brimstone. You got to figure out where you're going and what the audience, not the audience, what the heart, what the mind, what the soul that you're trying to talk to, where they're at. See, I think sometimes we jump the gun and go off of emotion. And we don't always go off of what thus saith the Lord or what God would have us do. And whenever we do those things, it can push people away. It could rock the boat a little bit. But if we go into it in the accordance of God and we go into it step for step with Him, the field's already been plowed. Seeds has already been planted. He might just be sending you to help with the harvest. See, oftentimes it's many layers to this thing. It's not a one-time thing. The disciples seen it time and time again. And they said, now we believe. See, sometimes if they've seen it firsthand, our testimonies, the way we live our lives, people are going to watch and watch and watch. And sometimes the decision comes after many, many a nights of saying, well, God, if you just show me this. Well, God, if you just do this. Well, God, you did those things, but if you would just send somebody to me tomorrow and just do something simple. That's how life works. See, we don't get to be the author of the beginning and the end. See, the first step is the hardest. The start doesn't matter. As long as you accept Christ and you take that first step, those second steps, they're great. And they're on a journey that God has put you on. But you see, how you get to the end, whenever we take our last breath, whenever we get called home, how did you finish? See, we don't know. No man knoweth the day or the hour. So we don't know when it's going to come. We are trying to win souls. We are trying to live a life that is pleasing to God without knowing when that clock is going to expire. See, God wants us to work up until the time He comes back. Up until the time we're called home, we are to be about His business. We are to focus and worry about that. Everything else we do in this life is just that, a blessing. Your job, as much as you hate it, blessing. The things you got to do, the coworkers you deal with, the family that you have to see, all the things, it's a blessing. But see, we look at it through lenses sometimes that are worldly lenses. Yes. There's days, Ramona, you won't believe this, but those 3 redheaded daughters of mine pushed me to the very point where I'm like, God, if you need to come back now, I'll meet you. I'll unlock the door. Okay? There's moments. But then I got to remember those 3 little redheaded girls that He has blessed me with are some of my greatest blessings. What would I do without them? I have no idea. The loved ones that you have in your life that sometimes just make you want to pull your hair out. Be grateful for it. It's okay to be upset, but understand we got to take care of them. We got to love them. The finish line will be there when we get there. See, when the disciples were looking up in the air after Jesus ascended, what are you doing looking up? If we just sit around and we look and we're like, well, we know it's coming soon, we're not going to be as on fire.
Right.
See, we have got to continue, no matter where you're at in your journey. No matter if you're at a spot where you're running up against this rock and just won't move. And you're like, why is this going on? What are we doing? We have got to continue to do that for the simple fact that you put breath in your lungs this morning to wake you up. And if you put breath in your lungs, he expects you to still do something. What that something is, we don't get to decide.
No.
That's the hard part about this. We control everything. Abby and I we make a schedule, see how busy our month's going to be. We make a budget, see where our money goes. We do all these things, and we try to orchestrate everything and have everything figured out to a T. Listen, God looks at that. He says, you know what? That was cute.
Yeah, that was cute.
If you try to plan if you try to plan your spiritual journey, you might as well just put it in the paper shredder now.
Right.
The time that you took trying to plan your journey, you probably ought to have been in prayer.
Yeah.
Because his divine appointments are going to be greater than what you can do. The paths that he provides for you are greater than what you can do. Sometimes you're like, why in the world are you doing this? See, when Jesus went to meet the woman at the well, the disciples said, have you lost your mind? Why don't we go the other way? Why are we going through there?
Yep.
They still didn't know until after Jesus was done with what he wanted to do. He allowed them to see her going away and thinking, who was that?
Yeah.
But what a moment it was for that woman.
Oh, yes.
You know, we can't decide when and how God moves. We can only be an instrument in it. And whenever we let go and we decide to say, hey, God, we'll be the feet of this wherever you want to take us. We'll be the mouth, whatever you tell me to say. Whenever we do that and we let our journeys just be his guided and take our mind from the worldly mindset to a Christ-like mindset, things will start happening and you will see things in your life that you prayed about seeing. Think about the 4 years that we've been in this building. Services that sometimes had 7 or 8 people. I don't know how many was here the other day, but you guys had a record number. You were adding more chairs. See, it's one of those things that we can't worry about where things are right now, but it's the path in which of where we're going. Is there a vision? If you have a vision, all right, God will help you get there. But understand that the vision has to be based with him. If we could open up a church 100 times, and if we don't invite his presence, if we don't look for God to show up, what are we doing? So in your journey, wherever you're at with it, don't worry about how you started it. Don't worry about where you were going back and forth if you feel like you're at a stalemate. Choose today, choose tonight, choose 2026 to say, you know what? I'm going to finish stronger than I ever have been. I'm going to go ahead and kick it in now.
Amen.
I may be tired in the flesh, but spiritually we should be absolutely renewed every single day.
Amen.
If you dig in your Bible a little bit, you'll start finding energy inside of you that you didn't have. On those days when it's -2 and it's gloomy and it's cold and it's snowy and you hate the snow and all the things, find your Bible and you're going to start feeling a little bit of fire inside. You're going to start fanning a little bit of a flame, and as you fan a flame, it's going to grow. We've got to take the mindset of not if, but when, and then the how. How are we going to respond? How are you going to take the next step of your journey? Are we going to do it with a happy heart, with a joyful heart, with a pep in our step, or are we going to continue to allow the world to say, "Woe is me," and kick us while we're down? See, Satan has no ability to take anything in your life that you don't give him.
True.
Christ knows all. I would lean on that one and stop giving so much attention or give so much foothold to the one that has nothing. You're chosen by God for a reason. The closer you draw to God, the more Satan's going to try to snuff it out, put it out. He doesn't want anything to do with it. So grab a hold of God and understand, take the trials and those tribulations whenever we feel like we can do no more. Take it almost as a compliment because Satan's having to throw everything at you. But God's keeping you going.
Yes.
Overcome those hard battles and be ready for the blessings on the other side. Be ready for the joy, the testimonies, the praise on the other side. Because when those chains fall off, just as Paul and Silas, what a story it is. That's all I got tonight, but we'll have somebody sing here. We'll open up the altar. But just allow God to dictate the journey. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so down on yourself. Remember to look to God through all things and allow Him to take over. Those trials, those tribulations that you've gone through, those tough times, the times that you feel like are just not the same. Look for the joy in every day. Don't look for the heartache. Don't look for the hard times. That the testimony that I started with about having an engagement ring for Abby in my glove box of my car and Grandma never knowing about it. I had it for 3 weeks before she passed away. I never got to share that with her. But here we are. And I get to look back on all the good times of that journey.
Right.
See, there's always going to be times where you wish you could change things in your past. They're just that, they're gone. You can't change it. But those times you look at it and you say, I'm not going to do that. Whenever I get there again, whenever I get to those spots, I'm going to attack it different. See, we're not a defeatist group of people, but we should be on the attack for Christ. We should be pushing people to Him like nobody's business right now because we don't know what the clock says.